queen of the plot. Hit that bell, cause the tea don't stop. She don't miss nothing, got the scoop on lock. Spilling all the tea while it's still too hot. Lakeysha Keysha, queen of the plot. Hit that bell, cause the tea don't stop. Sick bell, it's nothing. Got the scoop on lock. Spilling all the tea while it's still too hot. Lakeysha Keysha, queen of the plot. Hit that bell, cause the tea don't stop. You don't miss nothing, got the scoop on lock. Spilling all the tea while it's still too hot. Lakeysha Keysha, queen of the plot. Hit that bell, cause the tea don't stop. Sit back, don't miss nothing. Got the scoop on lock. Spilling all the tea while it's still too hot. Lakeysha Keysha, queen of the plot. Hit that bell, cause the tea don't stop. Cause the tea don't stop. Sip, don't miss nothing. She don't miss nothing, got the scoop on lock. Spilling all the tea while it's still too hot. Lakeysha Keysha, queen of the plot. Hit that bell, cause the tea don't stop. She don't miss nothing, got the scoop on lock. Spilling all the tea while it's still too hot. Lakeysha Keysha, queen of the plot. Hit that bell, cause the tea don't stop.
Hey guys, so thank you all for joining. As I stated earlier, a lot of y'all were asking me about the book. Now, when I talk about the book, I'm talking about Jackie's daughter book. Now, Jackie's daughter, we're talking Jackie from the Basketball Wives cast, her daughter Takari. Now, the book that I'm referring to, it's a book that she wrote a while ago. So it's not something that she, recently read. But as I stated earlier, I had never read the book and I felt like I was missing something. Now, keep in mind, Jackie now and Takari is stating that, her and Jackie are working toward mending the relationship. But it was real important, like I said, y'all, for me to read the book because I was trying to get an understanding of, what had happened before. And it did give me a lot of clarity into a lot of things. One of the things was with regards to, the relationship that Jackie had with the oldest daughter. And also, y'all, in the book, she talks about how Chantel would do things to her based on how Jackie would treat her, which kind of brings me to today, as you guys, saw on social media, how Takari and Chantel was, kind of going back and forth, and Chantel told Takari, that's why you're living in Section 8. So what I want to reserve this time for is kind of go over and read the book. Oh my God, don't tell me I done took the, okay, I got to bring it back up. I had it. So I'm going to bring it up. So what we're going to do is we're going to read the foreword of the book. Now, if you all don't know what that is, it's kind of like the beginning of of most books. They'll have like a foreword. But let's get into it, because I'm going to read it so you guys can see it, and I'm going to share my screen. Now, keep in mind, this is not a new book. This is a book that she has she wrote this a few years ago. I thought I could get it on Amazon. It does show on Amazon, but for some reason I wasn't able to order from Amazon. So y'all, I had to go. Are you leaving? This is my dog. Are you leaving or what? You need to do what you're gonna do. This dog gets on my nerves. So here's the book. Now, as y'all can see, what Takari did say is, she said during the time, that she had wrote this book, she said that it was kind of a rush situation. And hi, everybody in the chat. Hi, you guys are watching on Twitch. And if you guys are watching on on YouTube, hi. So what I wanted to say is, she has said that the book was something that she wanted to write, but what ended up happening is they ended up talking about her on the show. So she said she kind of rushed and kind of put it together. I don't think she did a bad job. So this is like, it's about 180 pages, but what y'all gonna notice is, as I scroll down, there's a few pages that was empty, and I don't know what happened, or why those pages were actually empty. But she says she dedicated the book to her late grandmother, Cora Lee. May she rest in peace. If it was not for you, I would have never known love until I became a mother. And I kind of talked about that in my video I did earlier. So we just gonna scroll down. Like, it's a few pages here. I think let's see how far it goes down. It's like a bunch of pages that don't have nothing on it. So I know she said that she had rushed. Okay. So it starts on page 16. So I'm just going to read, y'all. And we're going to, like I said, we're going to do the foreword, and the foreword is a few pages. So I'm just going to keep going. So I'm just going to read. Now, here's the foreword. It says, "The woman, the myth, the legend." It says 1989 to 2013. My mother has gained a huge following thanks to her casting in the Basketball Wives reality television series on VH1. Now listen, y'all, if it's some errors, I'm just going to read it. I'm going to read it exactly what it says. As the show got underway, the character storylines began to develop, and the public got a sneak peek into the lives of each cast member. I unwittingly, I think she means willingly, became a part of the show simply for being my mother's daughter. From the moment our story became public, our relationship has been under constant scrutiny from the show's fans, the press, entertainment, and news sites. Bloggers and celebrity gossip sites have exacerbated the situation. They rarely fact check before writing and posting their stories in an effort to be the first one to break a story. This has resulted in numerous inaccurate and blatantly false stories being pushed and passed off as truth. I never asked to be a part of this, but unfortunately, the situation has taken on a life of its own. I'm now forced to tell my story unfiltered and truthfully to preserve my integrity, no matter how disturbing the details may be. Since the show's inception, I've used Twitter and other social platforms to attempt correcting the continual streams of misinformation being disseminated by the fans, the media, and unfortunately, my mother. I've done my best to correct the record with both fans and media, while also trying to communicate the facts with my mother. But now I understand why things have transpired the way they have. Reality television is not reality. It's not really reality at all. They have scripts and plot lines just like any other television production. But life doesn't always translate cleanly to a script, which is the case with my mother's storyline. Given where our relationship was when she started to film the show, I highly doubt she believed I would remain silent and turn a blind eye to all the lies she decided to reveal about our lives. I was also unsure how she would respond when I called her out on her lies. I want to apologize in advance. Sorry to avid fans of the show and fans of my mother, but a vast majority of her storylines in the show are fabrications and flat out lies. With all the things going on in my mother's life that didn't involve me, I don't understand why she chose to speak about me. I have rarely, if ever, been included in anything else she's done, but I respect the reason is because our history adds drama and controversy to a show that feeds off both. The purpose of this chapter is to dispel the myths, the rumors, and blatant lies told about my family, especially about my grandmother and myself. Which y'all saying in the chat. Okay. The first myth I'd like to address is my mother saying on the show that she was by my grandmother's side until her dying day. Yes, my grandmother was suffering from cancer and she was very ill, but she had many good days while my mother was filming her show. Unfortunately, my mother only chose to film my grandmother on her really bad days. My grandmother was still taking care of my little brother while my mother was off filming the show. Now, keep in mind, the little brother she's talking about is the son, which is the youngest child that Jackie has with her husband. Is it Doug Jr.? Hopefully, I think that's his name. Now, she says that her mother was off filming the show, doing press tours and interviews. My grandmother was a legend in our family, and for my mother to portray herself as the only one who cared for her is false. She held my grandmother captive in her house solely for the storyline. My grandmother had long wanted to travel back to Washington to be with the rest of the family. Where did I done lost my place? To be with the rest of the family. Okay, that had been banned from coming to visit her in her last days. But my mother refused to let her leave. She had viewers believing she sat at home catering to my grandmother every need when she wasn't even there most of the time. My grandmother told me stories about how my mother would tiptoe around her and go out of her way to avoid interaction. I took to Twitter and Facebook a lot when our story first became public to attempt setting the record straight, but nearly every post was taken out of context and morphed into a story of its own. I was very angry at my mother for how she was treating me, then blaming me for our issues on a reality television show. Thus, a lot of the things I said were not as eloquent as they could have been. Granted, I have no regards about my social media activities, but I do want to clear up some things. The biggest misconception is that I did something to my mother to make her act the way that she does toward me. But the truth is, my mother has treated me this way since birth. It's only gotten worse since the show got popular. I have been made to feel like an outcast for as long as I can remember. I compare my relationship with my mom to being in an abusive relationship with a significant other. I'm going to have to highlight that because I want y'all, I'm going to repeat that because this was said on the show. I compare my relationship with my mom to being in an abusive relationship with a significant other. Now, I got to go back to the chat. Who said that on the show? Wasn't that said on the show? Chantel said that on the show, guys. Go rewind it and play it again. So this is in Takari's book. So one of the reasons why I said Chantel is definitely acting, and I feel like she is using her sister's story as her own, because why in the hell did she say the same thing her sister said in the book? Chantel said the exact same thing. This is in the book right here. I just highlighted it. So I feel like Chantel is using her sister's story as her own. Now, let me keep going. That is the best analogy I have for the situation. My mother has always done crazy off the wall stuff to me. When she would see how emotionally affected I was by it, she would buy me gifts or give me money to smooth it over. I will admit I was a part of that abusive cycle for way too long. But that was the only life I knew at the time. It wasn't until I realized that all the power, I'm sorry, it wasn't until I realized that all the power to turn my life into whatever I wanted it to be resided in me. After my I can't even remember that word, epiphany. I can't even remember epiphany, whatever. She said, I realized I didn't need gifts and money from my mother to be happy. I have not received or taken anything from her since. My mother has said several times that she tried to help me, that she tried to get me help, but that I refused. That is simply not true. My mother's idea of help was having random people with no medical credentials try to speak to me. I obviously refused because they weren't medical professionals, and I knew they were biased in her favor. When she reached out to me to do the counseling session on the show. Now, if you guys go back to the Basketball Wives, they had a counseling session on the show. She said, I was excited because for once I thought we were going to address our issues. It was naive of me to think that was set up. Oh, that was set up in my best interest, with her best interest in mind. My mother tried to coach us beforehand on what to talk about on camera. She tried to orchestrate the whole scene. But when my sister and I didn't comply with what she wanted to happen, she shut down production by acting like a diva on set and distracting from the actual reality of our lives. My mother resented the fact that my sister also wanted to use this opportunity to resolve our issues. Outside observers are quick to say, well, that's your mom. My response to that is tell her that I'm not the one confused. As hard as it may be for the public to believe, especially after seeing our disputes play out on national TV and other media, I sincerely love my mother. I would defend her if I ever saw someone trying to do bodily harm to her. Now, this is important because keep in mind this is a book that she wrote this many years ago. Now we also see her now defending Jackie, and this is the same thing that she said in her book. Like, listen, if somebody is doing something to my mother, I'm going to defend, which is natural for, that's her daughter. She said if she needed an organ to save her life, I would gladly donate mine. I unfortunately don't believe in my heart she feels the same way toward me. At the very least, I will say she has a hate love relationship with me, with emphasis on hate. She is my mom, and for my own sake and sanity, I believe, she said, I have to believe she loves me. Her actions say otherwise, but honestly, I simply want to believe she loves me. At the end of the day, I can't really speak for my mother. She has to speak for herself. She's had ample opportunities to make things right with us, but instead, she continues to call me a liar. She accuses me of creating this entire feud. My mother has accused me several times in the press of trying to extort money from her with my alleged lies. What could I possibly have on her to ruin her reputation? What information is so detrimental to make her pay me for silence? If you read closely, my mother is telling on herself. I've never threatened to reveal any of my mother's secrets. I just promised her I was going to tell my own story. She's my mother and obviously knows the role she played in my life, which is something she must not want the public to know about. I've never asked for any money, but I have reminded her of previous promises she has made. That is not extortion. When my mother kicked my kids and I out of her rental home, she promised to make it up to me by helping me write a book. Now, let me kind of tell y'all what happened. Takari states that when she lived in a rental home that Jackie owned, for some reason, I guess the property was being foreclosed on, and she said, that Jackie told her like the day before. So she imagined, having to pack up a house and knowing the day before. So this is what she's saying. She said when her kids were kicked out of the rental home, her mother said, Jackie says, hey, I'm gonna help you write a book. So she said that never happened. So she reminded her. She said, me reminding her of what she said she was going to do for me is not extortion. She says, when I asked her about it, she claimed I was trying to extort her, which is a lie. I text her to ask something she offered to do. Now, here are the exact text messages we're going to read. Now, this is Takari's message. She said, I don't know if you remember or not, but you told me once you would help me write my book and publish it. Do you still want to do that? I don't want to write about your life, but mine's. Some of the things I have encountered and overcome in my life, the truth of my low self-esteem and self-confidence, dealing with bullies and depression. I think it would be a good thing for my family and me to finally face my demons. I don't want to do it out of spite or anything. I just want to write books. I have a lot of creative ideas, and you guys all have your projects going on, and I want to start mine. There's a lot of talent, and I'm ready to start showcasing them. I'm not working with anybody right now, just been writing for a few weeks. I would love to do it with you if you want to join in. Think it over and let me know. So keep in mind, this is Takari reaching out to her mom saying, hey, you stated that you were going to help me write the book. So she's reaching out like, hey, are you ready? And then she says, hey, mom, so what do you think? Because it looks like she didn't get a reply. Now, this is Jackie's response, wow, these lies again. Then, right, Kari, really extortion again? Okay, so be it, do you then. She said, okay, be it, do you then. This is coming from Jackie. So Takari says, what, mom? I'm not extorting anything from you. I asked you a question and you ignore me. And then Takari says, how am I extorting you with simply asking if you still wanted to work on the book with me? Now, this is Jackie. Yes, you are. And it's sad. You are legally issued a warning. Last time here, you go again. Guess it's life with you. Then write, Takari, all your games and little fake I love you and all this is how you thank your parents and family for always having your back and for always loving you no matter. All the evil you keep throwing at us for no damn reason. Really? This is your way of trying to force someone's hand, Takari. Wow. Stay in prayer. God will lead you. Disappointed. This is how you communicate and spew your hate for us. It saddens my soul to know we talk all the time and you often speak happy and highly of us. And just that fast, you spit lies, evil hate, and true extortion to your own family. Takari says, I didn't ask you for anything besides your help. For my mother to claim I'm extorting her is saying I'm committing a felony. I have never been charged with any crimes, never been arrested, detained, or prosecuted for anything. I've never had a defamation lawsuit brought against me either. My mother has accused me of hating myself because of how I look and that I'm jealous of my sister for being prettier than me, I want to be crystal clear on this point. My sister is one of the most beautiful people I know. Okay. Neither she nor I had any say in what we looked like when we were born. So why the hell would I be mad at her for how God put together her features? To insulate, to insinuate I hate how I look is equivalent to saying I hate God for making me the way he did. Anyone who follows my social media pages can see that I'm actually quite enamored with myself. It's not far-fetched to say I'm borderline vain. I'm in love with this teacup in every way imaginable. These looks and this body created three of the most handsome little men I've ever seen. I love the color of my skin and would not trade it for a lighter shade for all the riches in the world. Being light skinned comes with its own stigmas. I've no reason to take off my shoes and walk in another pair when mine are already so damn comfortable. Now, guys, make sure you're hitting the like button, please. My mother saying that I hate the way I look, that I used to stand in the mirror and cry because I was ugly, brought back so many painful memories. Yes, I did stand in the mirror and cry, but that was because I couldn't understand why my mother would hate this face, how she saw something in my face that would make her hate me, including my beautiful dark complexion. But deep down, I knew my mother rejected me for that very reason. So, yes, as a 10-year-old, that was extremely painful to deal with. My mother lacks compassion and empathy. So, she's incapable of comprehending why I was crying. She doesn't know how to cry herself. She knows nothing about genuine tears. If she did, she would have understood the difference between self pity and agony when she stood off seeing the distance watching her own child cry in pain. I want people to understand that when a person makes a blatant lie, it's because they themselves are the ones uncomfortable with the truth surrounding the lie. My mother has been resentful of my looks since I was born and takes her frustration out on me. She doesn't understand that she created three beautiful human beings. She hasn't grasped the magnitude of such an accomplishment. She triumphs in her material achievements, but it's her beautiful children that are her real success, and she doesn't even know it. Were there ever any happy times? Of course. I had happy times growing up. Many of those were my pre-mansion days with my grandma. But that's not to say there were no good times in the mansion. The mansion good times, however, were always bittersweet because I had to be tortured first before I could take part in whatever festivities were going on. Vacations were always fun, but only after workouts that my mother was obsessed with me doing before I could simply have fun as a child. Fun in the mansion was always regulated and strictly enforced. On, one on, one fun. And good times with my mother and father were not common. As children, my sister and I created our own world to enjoy ourselves. When I think of those times, the perfect way to describe it is flowers in the attic. Okay. Next, I would like to clear up any perceived animosity towards my sister. I often compare my treatment to how my sister was treated. And yes, I do understand how this can be construed as jealousy. Let's start with the infamous Range Rover. And I covered this in my first video earlier. So we're going to get into the infamous Range Rover. Okay. I didn't care that my sister got a Range Rover. People were saying I was mad because my mother didn't buy me one. And that is not true. I was only shocked because I didn't know about it until 2 or 3 years after the fact. And after they had bought it, they deliberately concealed the purchase from me. My mother bought me a Ford Focus, and my little happy ass drove that car like it was a Range Rover. I thought and still think it was extremely unfair that she did that though. But I used to it after a while. I think she means she got used to it after a while. There are so many examples I can give to show how my mother treated us differently, but the media provide adequate examples. People can see for themselves. There is favoritism. So expanding further on the topic would be beating a dead horse. One of my favorite myths of all is that I'm jealous of my mother's success. I'm going to need y'all to go deep with me on this one. Why would I purposely create problems between my mom? And if at the end of the day, all I wanted was a piece of her success and limelight, how would creating drama even remotely get me closer to the goal? I may not be the brightest bulb in the box, but I'm far from stupid. Doing that would just be ass backwards. It seems more logical to just stay around kissing my mother's ass all day to get what I want, if indeed I'm just mad because I want some of her success. The strained relationship with my mother has existed. It says exist, but I think she means it has existed since I was a child. This feud goes back to way before I even knew what fame and fortune was. And before my mother even had it, I knew she married a man that played basketball. But I was 3 years old and had no idea what marrying someone in the NBA really meant. Nor did I understand the riches and the fame it brought until many years later. Even at that point, I still could not fully comprehend what was actually happening. I want to be proud of my mother for her success because she worked hard. She sacrificed everything for it. But it's difficult when our relationship was part of the sacrifice. Why would root against my mother's success? I think she means, why would I root against my mother's success? My issues with my mother run far deeper than money or material success. The one things my mother that I, wait a minute, the one things that my mother has that I want from her are love and acceptance. I understand it's human nature to put nice, neat bows on situations, but in some cases, accepting things for what they are is all you can do to move on from them. Trying to determine why I feel the way I feel and have said many of the things that I've said is impossible if you were not there. Many of the people who were there don't even understand. I'm okay with that because it's no one else's journey but my own. I wrote this book to once and for all tell my side of what has now become a matter of public interest. My story is what it is, despite opinions, judgments, approvals, disapprovals, feelings, or flat out denial by others. Whether you believe my story or not is a matter of personal choice. But ask me 10 years from now to tell my story again, and it will be the same. Some has suggested that my motivations for writing this book are fame and fortune. Now she lists the Bible as a reference. Matthew 16:26 says, "For what is a man profited if he shall gain the whole world and lose his soul?" Let me be the first to say that if fame makes people do the things that I've seen many famous people do, then you have it. Okay. I choose my sanity and my soul. I don't desire to be famous. I desire to be heard and to share my creative talents with the world. This particular project is less about monetary gain and more about spiritual healing. It is the first of many endeavors to come. I was angry and frustrated for a long time because I felt like I was screaming at the top of my lungs, but no one was listening. I did some soul searching and focused on a clear, concise way to be heard and say what I wanted to say. This book is a culmination of that process. My mother has helped my siblings make their goals a reality. I did not receive that same support as a child or even as an adult. So she says Jackie helped her siblings. She didn't help her. Again, this is not an attack against my siblings. I'm proud of the books they have written, but it further demonstrates my mother's lack of interest in me as her eldest child. Writing a book is something I've wanted to do as early as the age of 11. Both of my siblings were published authors by that age. So keep in mind, guys, as I said earlier, remember she wanted to be an author. She's the oldest child. So she asked to get help. She said, listen, I didn't get the help, but then they were able to write their books at the age of 11. Not to mention, my mother owned her own publishing company, which is truly the sad part about all of this. In a lot in a lot of ways, I'm grateful that I was left to fend for myself because taking this journey alone has turned out to be quite therapeutic. The last myth I would like to dispel is that I hate my mother. That is patently false. It's a lie. I love my mother with all my heart. Have I said that I hate her? Yes, probably a million and one times. Was I angry about something she did or said to me during those times? Of course. Do two wrongs make a right? No. Will I say it again going forward? I don't know. I'm human. But hopefully the answer is no. However, I will try extremely hard to be mindful how I express my anger in the future. I've demonstrated how words can leave permanent scars. My mother needs love, not hate. She can't help herself. Most of the time, she is who she is. And I just have to accept that. Her attitude towards me needs work. And I'm willing to do what I can to help make this happen. With that being said, I would like to address all the mean and nasty things that are being said about my mother in an effort to support me and stand on my side. My beautiful soldiers, darkness doesn't drive out darkness. Only light can do that. Hate doesn't extinguish hate. Only love can do that. Please do not allow anyone, no matter how much they make you see red, blue, or black, don't let them take you out of character. You are too good to stoop to that level of senselessness. That was a hard-learned lesson for me. A lot of my mother's ways are irrational and ridiculous. She doesn't understand why she's acting out in most instances. So falling into the pit of wickedness with her only affect you instead of using that energy to expose her darkness. Use your light to distinguish it. On this journey, I've received a great outpouring of positive feedback, support, and love. This is where the magic happens. When people tap into their energy, force to spread love. One comment I received always sticks with me, and it reminds me of one of the main reasons I chose to go public with my side of the story. She says, this young lady named Kai left a message on my social media page that read, "You are my inspiration, and I mean that from the bottom of my heart. As I sit here with tears foaming in my eyes, because I truly know firsthand how it feels to try over and over again to love the woman that birthed you and never receive it back." Wow. Only when it's convenient for them. I will continue to pray for your situation, and please pray for mine. God bless, and God gives the heaviest loads to the strongest soldiers. Wow. Kai reminded me and keeps reminding me every time I read her message that I am not alone and this is a common issue. So many young people have irreparably broken relationships with their parents. It hurts immensely because we had no choice in being here. I wonder so many times why my mother brought me into the world just to neglect, mistreat, and ignore my existence. Only a similarly situated child is able to understand how it feels to have a parent they love dearly refuse to reciprocate that love. It is mostly lonely and desperate feeling in the world. Of course, parents who are deceased, ill, on drugs, or locked up, etc., are hindered by circumstances. It still doesn't make it right, but there at least is their reason. When your parents simply chose not to love you, your heart endures perpetual pain. But at some point, for the sake of our own well being, we must sever all ties, deny their very existence, and move on. Individuals reach that stage of their lives at different points. I was 24 when I decided to cut my mother's turbulent presence out of my life. I didn't cut her out completely because I like to believe that someday we will repair our broken bond, but I had to set boundaries and put up walls. She no longer has free reign to rummage through my life and turn my world upside down, then disappear back into her fancy cocoon, leaving my life in disarray. I have been much happier since our dysfunctional relationship has become more stable. I've learned to accept that I cannot pick up the phone to call or text my mother when my heart desires. I must wait for her to reach out to me. If I'm feeling up to a conversation, which I always am, I will answer. If not, I will let it roll to voicemail. I had to find the balance that worked for me. I had to let go of any and all expectations that children in normal relationships with their parents have. Our relationship is not normal. So I can't even expect her to have a normal grandmother relationship with my children. My mother has not even met my youngest son, Jackson, who is 16 months. And I kind of want to touch on that, guys, because again, this book that she wrote is kind of old now. So she actually has 3 children now. So it's actually 2 children that she hasn't met. And of course, the child is not 16 months because this is old. Deep down inside, it bothers me, but not having the expectation that she would be eager to meet him in the first place definitely helps me cope. To Kai and all the beautiful offspring affected by this stigma, I've been put in this place to tell you that it will be okay. Your reflection is not created by your parents that birthed you only to hurt you over and over again. Your reflection can be anything you want it to be. We are led by society to think we need our we need other flawed human beings in our lives to make us feel whole and complete. We do not. Every single person on this planet has what he or she needs within themselves to be happy. It's just a matter of knowing it, accepting it, and tapping into that part of your soul. Truly understand that what you feel on the inside is what you will attract from the outside. Work on feeling good. Use every ounce of energy within you to be happy. No one told me where or how to find this light. I just started accepting me and rejecting the negativity that hindered my growth. I have flaws because I am human, but there is not one malicious bone in my body, and I'm a very positive person. Please, for your own well-being, take that energy you are loving the parents that don't love you back and shine that light inward. Use the light to find the radiance that I promise exists in you. If you are someone that if you are someone that fights for love from others, you are a good person. Evil people don't care about others or how they feel. They are too busy fighting off their demons. I had to realize that I was making myself a victim by trying to force my mother to love me the way I deserve to be loved. I took back all my power when I realized I didn't need her love. I just wanted it because I felt like I was supposed to have it. That is so good, guys. Make sure you guys are hitting, the thumbs up. I appreciate it. People used to tell me I'm pathetic and nobody loves me, not even my own mother. When I was in a bad place, this comment tore the bottom out of my soul because I felt like they were right. Existing in this light that I found within myself helped me realize that it was pathetic for me to keep trying to force someone to love me. It is also pathetic for one human being to say something like that to another person that they could clearly see was in pain. Not having the people in your life that are supposed to love you unconditionally may be sad, but they are the pathetic ones. There is magic in standing in your own light and not in someone else's shadow. I'm a living, breathing witness. I overcame darkness and now stand in my own light. I am still a work in progress. We are all and will remain as such until the end. Striving for perfection never plateaus. It is a lifelong journey. I want to give a sincere thank you for any and all uplifting words of wisdom, encouragement, and hope. As a result of how I was raised, I'm still figuring out my true identity to survive the mental abuse I suffered as a child. I had to disconnect from certain parts of my personality in the midst of the storm. I never lost who I am, but I did become a shell of that person and even picked up some bad habits. I am not fond of who I was turning into. That person was vindictive, passive aggressive. I was hurting so bad that I wanted the person responsible for that hurt to also hurt. I grow a little bit stronger with each passing day because I am a phoenix rising. I believe in me even if no one else does. I have nothing to prove to anyone. So, how I chose to live my life is strictly for my children and myself. I've been misunderstood for way too long, particularly by the people that are closest to me. I feel like an alien in my own family since they cannot relate to me. That makes me feel as if no one else can either. So over the years, I become very anti-social and socially selective. I have become accustomed to being my own best friend. I am likely perceived as a bit clingy to people I'm comfortable with. I'm working on this aspect of my personality because I love engaging with other people. It's just that for so long, I was battling my own demons. But now I look forward to rebuilding an old relationship and creating new ones. I'm excited about getting back in touch with the more outgoing side of my personality. I'm a loner by nature, but I have to be mindful to maintain a healthy balance. Okay, I'm loyal to a fault. Okay, one thing, y'all, I do need y'all to start liking the videos because it's like only 12 likes. It's 158 people in here. Can y'all start liking the video, please? I appreciate it. Okay, now let me finish reading. Now she says, I'm a loyal to a fault, for better or worse. My heart hurts easily, but forgiveness comes quickly. I'm always hopeful and trusting with a naively, I don't know what that means. We're going to skip that. That many mistake for weakness. She means naive. I don't know. They take my feelings and intelligence for granted. I was too shy to speak up for myself. That left me vulnerable to social predators. That is not the case anymore. And these days, I'm nobody's doormat to walk all over. I respect everyone. If people cannot or simply unwilling to offer me the same thing in return, then I quickly walk away. I know my worth. I am similar to my mother in a lot of ways. Frankly, in more ways than I'd like to acknowledge. I seem to have inherited impatience and many other undesirable aspects of her personality. Now, she's talking about her mother's personality, and thank y'all for liking the video. I get frustrated rather easily when I find myself waiting on stuff to happen. It's almost like I have a preset speed to getting things done. When I don't see results, I lose it. I'm working on that because I realize that I'm not on my own time, but I'm on God's time. Things happen exactly when they are supposed to. And realizing I have no control over it helps me to cope when I get frustrated. Take, for instance, this book. I have wanted to write this book since 2011 and have tried to do it so many times so many times before, but the timing was not right for one reason or another. But I ended up writing this book with such ease and peace because I was in the right frame of mind to relive those painful memories. Another attribute of mine that resembles my mother is the need to appear and be perfect all the time. I don't know if my dog's trying to get in here. What is that noise? My gosh. I am a flawed human being, yet yet deep down, I don't like anyone to see those flaws. It's a little crazy because no one is perfect. It's like we as human beings work so hard to appear unflawed to flawed people. Being a perfectionist has prevented me from exploring so many things in life. But this too is something I'm working extremely hard to fix because even on my worst day, my best is still the best of the best. Okay, girl. When I look at my life today, I see how incredibly far I've come in just a few short years. Okay, y'all, 1 second, because the dog, just give me a second. Gotta shut up. I'm trying to, they making all that noise. Okay. Okay, so when I look at my life today, I see how incredibly far I've come in just a few short years. I've grown and matured exponentially since my days of being a Twitter assassin. I still have quite a ways to go to get where I need to be, but as long as I see a little bit of progress each day, I'm okay with myself. Through all of this craziness, my self esteem took a real beating. Getting it back, it also was taking some time, but I'm light years ahead of where I was. Every single day I see something beautiful in me that I didn't see yesterday. I no longer reject the beautiful things I see. I embrace them and take my time exploring them. It is always fun to peel back the layers. I'm learning who Takari is outside of my struggles. My sister always tells me, throw caution to the wind. And that is exactly what I'm doing, starting with writing this book. I did not hold back anything that I wanted to say because doing so would have been a disservice to me. When you purge stuff out of your system, it's best to get it all out. If not, you will find yourself revisiting those wounds. In the past, I used my traumatic experiences as a way to embarrass certain people in my life. But now, when I speak about what I went through as a child, it is only to help others. My trials and tribulations will not become my testimony in an event to help other people suffering similar indignities. When I examine the totality of my life today, one of the things I tend to scrutinize is who I think genuinely loves me. I'm not talking about love in the sense that you are my family, therefore I must love you, or you are my kid's mother, so I have love for you. I mean, people who really and truly love me for the person I am with all of my flaws. The only entities and people I can think of are God and my kids. This is not meant to be subtle or otherwise shot. Wait a minute. Okay, let me try to make out what this means. This is not meant to be subtle or otherwise shot at anyone. I think that's what that means. If anyone takes it personal, then they should evaluate why they are mad. This is about me and no one else. I know there are many people who care about me, but loving someone unconditional is entirely different. And that is very true. I have not held back anything in writing this book for the sake of hurt feelings. This is my story, and I'm telling it how I remember it and with no hard feelings toward anyone. As mentioned previously, I'm open to rebuilding relationships when it's genuine effort. when we're trying to arrive at a place where I don't have to question their love for me ever again. The broken person I used to be had a high tolerance for dysfunction. I stayed in situations far longer than I should have. But by breaking loose from the chains that bound me, I am now free. When I talked about my past, people would frequently tell me to just let it go. But I didn't know how to just let go of people, places, and things that had shaped my life for 24 years. Once I figured it out, certain relationships suffered as a result. I would love to have certain people back in my life, but I will no longer tolerate toxic relationships. They are not healthy for myself or my children. We are we are my only priorities at this time. The most important thing I've realized on my journey is that life is not about how things are supposed to be. It's about how things are and how quickly we accept and adjust to the term that life dictates. Will only experience true happiness when we accept reality, holding on to our own individual beliefs of what our lives should be like hinders us from God's original plan for our lives. Now, it's all said and done. I'm finished holding grudges. It requires too much energy to hate. I prefer to simply love. I will love others when they find it impossible to love me back. I will love myself when no one else does. For the sake of my kids, I had to stop feeling sorry for myself and stop allowing my struggle to be my identity. I'm a wonderful person. It took me some time, but now I realize that I have to stop trying to be a part of others' greatness and simply embrace my own. Here's to no longer living in darkness. I've decided to shine on all of my shadows. Now, this is a letter to Jackiechristie. Let's read it. Dear Mom, I love you and please forgive me. I ask that you receive these words with an open mind and heart. If you are unable to do so, I understand. However, I ask that you please stop reading until you can. My intentions were never to hurt you. I have always been desperate for your love and acceptance. I'm not sure if you're fully aware of how much I love you and how much you mean to me. I have tried many times to calculate how much, and I've determined the amount is immeasurable. I know you are disappointed in me, maybe even mad, but I hope that you can put your feelings aside just this one time to hear your little girl speaking to you from the heart. I never intended for this situation to get out of hand like this. Every day I regret the part I played in it all, allowing it to go this far. I don't want to argue. This letter is not about who is right or wrong, but to say, I'm sorry. I hope you accept this olive branch that I'm extending to you out of the depths of my heart. I'm in a better place than I ever have been. I was angry and blame you for not living up to the expectations that I had for you. In turn, I was treating you the same way I have demonized you for treating me. I understand now about meeting people where they are and loving them no matter what. I wasn't in a good place. I'm sorry, I wasn't in a place to meet you where you were because I was a child and I was hurting. It doesn't matter that I justify my actions. I should have never said some of the things I said to you. I now see ways I could have handled certain situations differently. Going forward, I will never disrespect you. I will walk away from you and this relationship before I'll allow myself to be taken out of character again. I didn't understand before. I owe you a certain level of gratitude because you gave me life. Grandma taught me unconditional love, and I didn't fully understand what that meant until now. You may not understand this. I'm sorry, you may not understand, but this book is imperative to my healing. I have made peace with my truth. I had to tell my story from the heart, my memory and my understanding, the events that transpired in my childhood and how they affected me even now is my truth. This is my release, and now I am free. I could not consider your feelings during my writing process because if I had, I wouldn't have written this. And that simply was not an option. While writing, I did consider my children, your grandchildren. Is it Giovanni, Jaria, and Jackson? In order to be completely whole, I had to purge all volatile and unhealthy emotions I was harboring, secrets that just kept haunting my soul. I know many things I wrote on these pages will hurt you, and that is why I ask for your forgiveness on the very first line of this note. If you can't forgive me now or feel as if you will never forgive me, I understand. However, I mean everything I've written in this letter. I have accepted that you might feel betrayed or even belittled, but this is my healing process. Whatever comes of this, I'm ready to accept it and move on with my life, with or without you. I need you to know I want you to be a part of my life and I yours, but only if it is genuine and I'm treated with the same respect that I give. All that I do is for the sake of my children and peace of mind. I hope that we can repair our broken friendship. In closing, Mom, I wish you nothing but peace and happiness, whether we are a part of your life or not. Family is important and we have a beautiful one, but it's so divided right now. Let's settle our differences and start mending fences so that we can uphold grandma's legacy. Oh, y'all. Okay, so that was the forward. Now, as y'all can see, tomorrow we're going to really get into the book. So that was the forward. Now, what I want to tell y'all about tomorrow is titled Chapter 1 Hood Rich. Now, what she's going to go into, and y'all can kind of see some of it, she goes into her mother meeting her father, okay? So, and thank you guys for liking the video. So, she goes into telling us that her father was a baller. A big baller, like a big D boy. So that's gonna be very interesting. So we're gonna get into that tomorrow. Again, we just pretty much read the forward. I didn't want to run it all together. It's about 180 pages. And if I did my math correctly, I think I did like 40 pages a day. But today I cut it down because I wanted to kind of stop at the forward and then just pick it up here tomorrow. As y'all can see, it talks about hood rich and it gives the dates 1988 to 1992. And it's pretty much what I said. She's going to get into, her father and how that relationship kind of, dissipate. It just went away. The relationship didn't work. But she talks about, how he was a doughboy, he had a lot of money. She gets into saying how, Jackie only wanted to date the guys, with the money. And I know some of y'all been saying, is Chantel Doug's child? Now, Chantel is Doug's child, but what we're going to learn in the book is that um, Takari goes into saying that Doug's mother did not like Jackie. So the mom did not like Jackie. Takari talks about how Jackie was, she was dating. That's what single people do. They date. So Jackie was dating other players and, other guys in the league. Now, what she says in the book is that Doug kind of knew about it, but this was like during the time they were just meeting. So they wanted a paternity test. So she ended up getting a paternity test for what is her name? Chantel. So we'll get into that. So I feel like going forward is going to be a little bit more interesting because we're going to get into a lot of stuff that we probably didn't really know about Jackie. So does anybody have the book? Do y'all have the book? Has anybody read the book yet or no? If you've read the book, put a 1 in the chat. If you guys have read the book, so nobody, okay, so this should be interesting. Okay, so nobody has read the book. Okay, so that's good because it's going to be all good information. So and then once we're done, if y'all want me to email y'all, I got a fresh copy. I can send it to y'all. Listen, it's what I have is a it's like an online copy. I bought it offline, but I think you can kind of order the book, but I don't know why you would pay extra for a book when I can just send you the pages. So that's what we'll do. We'll go over this nightly. Like I said, tomorrow we'll get into Jackie relationships and things of that nature. So if y'all don't got any more questions, I'm gonna read the chat and see what y'all saying, and then we're gonna end it. I commend Takari for maintaining a positive and humble attitude because it's very easy to be bitter. Absolutely. It's very easy to be bitter, but guess what? Bitterness is not going to help nobody. So I like that she is being the bigger person, because at the end of the day it's still her mother. I get it, her mother made some messed up mistakes, but what she's doing is pretty much the best thing that she can do, because you can't really force somebody to do anything. The only thing she can do is try to basically what she's doing now. I don't mind hearing about the sister story. Maybe we can skip ahead a little bit in the book to Chantel and Jackie, then go back to Takari. I'm wondering, what is the trauma experience? You said skip it. I don't mind hearing the sisters. Okay. Well, the thing about the book is I'm not sure at what point different things are going to happen. So it would be hard for me to skip around because I really don't know at what point. Now, in reading the book, it seems like she's telling from the beginning. Again, tomorrow she goes into the relationship with her mother and her father, and then she talks about the relationship ending. Then it gets into Jackie and Doug. So I really can't tell you as to what is going to get to what point. I really don't know. I thought they said that the young lady on the show is not. So you're gonna have to go back and watch what I just said, Vicky, because I kind of just answered that question. You're probably gonna have to go back and replay it. I'll just read some of y'all messages. Fame ain't worth it. Now look at Jackie publicly embarrassed, all of her business out in the streets, people dragging her, just a pure nightmare. Well, here's the deal. I really don't. So I will tell y'all about this because I think I'm halfway through the book. But what you're going to learn in the book is that, Takari talks about how, Jackie put her on this rigorous diet and you got to work out and, you going to fast and different stuff like that. But what Takari said is that Chantel would pretty much, what is the word that I'm looking for? She would bother her because she knew that, kind of like what Jackie did. And she also felt like if Takari would do stuff to her, that she would get in trouble. Takari talks about how she walked on eggshells and she was like afraid to do certain things. She did talk about and I'm just telling y'all ahead because I'm like I said, I'm far ahead. She talked about having a sit down situation with Doug, and she said that Doug pretty much told her, like, look, this is your house too. Because you can kind of tell, I guess what she's saying is she didn't feel very comfortable. So she kind of, didn't be herself. She said when they would go on vacation or Jackie was traveling with Doug, she said she was a different person. She said, but then when they would come, she would act differently. So she did, she did speak about that. What else are y'all saying in the chat? That dedication of love has got to be a slap in the face for Jackie. Well, here's the deal. And look, I'm going to tell y'all my story. I have my father's side of the story. I have my mother's side of the story. Now, one thing I have learned, and I can only speak about my family, is there's definitely favoritism in families. It's favoritism. When I look at both my grandmothers, they most definitely had favoritism. And they didn't have to tell you, but you knew, everybody knew who the favorite people were. And you can kind of get this from Takari. Like, she knew that the sister was the preferred person. And it always happens like this. The person that they prefer the most is always going to be the person that dragged the hell out of them. So we're seeing this with Chantel, with, how she's disrespected her mother. And it seemed like that Takari was really the one that had struggles going up. But yet Chantel is making it into her storyline. Even as I read to you guys, coming from Takari's book, she said, and I'm going to go back to it. Let me go back to it because I don't remember the exact words, but I'm going to go back to it because as I told y'all, Chantel says, I compare, these are Chantel's exact words. I compare my relationship with my mom to being in an abusive relationship with a significant other. That is in Takari's book. So why would Chantel be using that's the exact sentence that Takari has in her book. And if you guys if you remember, Takari came out and said, look, I don't need you to tell my story. So it almost seems like this is not saying that Chantel wasn't traumatized, but it really seems like Chantel is trying to use her sister's story to maybe, get attention, because it's very odd that you're using the same exact words that your sister used in the book that she wrote many years ago. But, it just, it seems like it's a whole lie. So what else is y'all saying? My heart just breaks for her. Yeah. This was just the introduction. So like I said, tomorrow is going to really like get into, everything. And yeah, it's a whole mess. But like I said, I just wanted to talk about the book because, we've talked about Basketball Wives and now, what we're seeing play out on social media. I just really wanted to have a better understanding of what the hell I was seeing. So now I understand the relationship between Takari and Chantel. And I said this originally, I said, I believe, Chantel kind of thinks that she's better than her sister. And that is exactly it. That is exactly it. Because judging from what, Chantel has stated in the book, that was, the relationship growing up. She was always presented to be, the best child, the best daughter. And, just think about, you're the older sister, you're 4 years older than your sister, but yet, and still when she's born, now, here's the princess. And what are you supposed to be, the damn frog? So yeah, it's a lot. But I'm gonna get out of here, y'all. Like I said, I'm gonna do a short video to break it down, but then we can just jump on live tomorrow and then I'll just pick up where we left off. All right, y'all, make sure to like the video, make sure you subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you all tomorrow.
Got the scoop on lock, spilling all the tea tea while it's still too hot. Lakeysha Keysha, queen of the plot. Hit